No, I said Earth doesn't turn underneath the gyroscope. Underneath. Wait, hang on. Oh no, I'm losing it. Earth turns beneath the gyroscope.
We can and do, and we must think of Newtonian gravity as a force. That doesn't mean it really is, but we don't necessarily need to work at the really is level.
Somebody with academia,
That's
right?
No, he's a flat earther.
That's an argument from
flat earther.
authority fallacy.
Hold on. Argument from authority. What do you think that fallacy is? Because that's often mistaken for something it isn't. What do you think that is?
It's when someone's like, "Oh, I'm a scientist. I would know this better than you."
That's wrong.
That's academia,
Oh,
right?
that's what I thought it was.
No. If I cite a subject matter expert on a subject that I'm dealing with, that's a perfectly acceptable citation. It's not an appeal to authority to say, here's my subject matter expert in this specific field. An appeal to authority is to say, Mama told me that alligators are angry because they've got all those teeth and no toothbrush. That's an appeal to authority.
My grandma used to tell me, gravity's a natural law. Been around since the beginning of time, man. See, my grandma used to tell me, there's no such thing as thermodynamics.
Isn't that still your authority?
It depends on the circumstances. Yes, they are your authority, but in terms of an appeal to authority fallacy, it is where you go to, let's say you're in the engineering part of the university, and you're learning about how cars are made, and you go to your, let's call him a professor, and you say to the professor, how can you have gas pressure without a container? If the sky was a vacuum, surely the entropy increase would mean we'd all be dead. And the guy says, no, we've got gravity. And you go back to us on this debate and says, my professor said gravity solves that problem. And you go, okay, well, what's your professor a professor in? You go, well, mechanical engineering. And you go, well, what's that got to do with gravity or a second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum? That's just an appeal to authority. Because he's in charge of you, you think that he's got all the right answers. Now, meanwhile, an astrophysicist who's a subject matter expert on gravity, someone like, I don't know, George Musa, you grill them, and what do you know? They actually know what the rhetoric is. And then you can rattle off a few quotes from them if you've decided to go to the subject matter expert on this horseshit and ask them all about it. And they'll tell you, literally, it's not a force.
Now, literally, it's not a force. So the thing about Newton's laws, you can't take it literally, but Newton himself didn't.
Gravity's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. They'll say things like that because they're a subject matter expert, as opposed to just some authority figure you've asked about it. So the fallacy is to just ask your mom and say, well, my mum said she's in authority, she's in charge. Therefore, her answer is correct. Nothing wrong with appealing to a subject matter expert or challenging a subject matter expert. That's when it gets excellent. That's when it gets the most interesting for us. The problem we have is we're just scum. We're the dregs of society. We're flat earthers. So why would it be the case that the almighty Neil deGrasse Tyson, subject matter expert, would come here and when he says, I don't know, to an answer about what gravity is, let's move on, is his next remark.
What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
And we say, no, let's not move on. There's a lot of people who come here and call us thickos that tell us it's a force, Mr. Tyson. Obviously, being the subject matter expert you are, you wouldn't risk your career and lie about what gravity is, would you? And what do you think he's going to do? Start telling us that we can think of it as a force, maybe? Yeah, he'll do-si-do and sidestep around it. But at some point, he'll also, like Musa, say, literally, it's not a force. Because it isn't.
Yeah, the fallacy comes in when it's the authority you're appealing to is not actually an expert in the field that you're talking about.
Exactly.
Perfect sense, thanks. But in terms of like Musa being a subject matter expert, then should his quotes like you can think of it as a force, should that be taken with more merit because he's a subject matter expert?
Let's take it with 100% merit.
Oh, that's one of my favorite quotes. What do you mean? Are you kidding? Oh yeah.
I just change the intonation in the way it's said. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Do you see how if I just change the intonation of the exact verbatim quote, it's making it clear that gravity is not a force, but if you want to, you can, I give you permission as George Musa the Almighty, to think of it as a force. Likewise, you can think about your Lexus as a Lamborghini. And I do. I think my Lexus is a Lamborghini when I'm overtaking people. It's not. I like to think of it as one, though. And I've got permission to do so. But it doesn't make it a force. And it doesn't make it a Lamborghini. And getting George Musa's permission to think of it in a way that he said you can think of it also does not make it a force. Another quote from Musa, literally, it's not a force, end quote.
Literally, it's not a force.
I mean, we can, we do, and we must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. It doesn't really mean it is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level.
We can and do, and we must think of Newtonian gravity as a force. That doesn't mean it really is, but we don't necessarily need to work at the really is level in this case.
With the really is in air quotes.
I love subject matter experts.
So do I.
Me too.
Me too. And it's QE that taught me that.
Never get a
Because you at first you're like, oh, he's got a PhD. So what he says goes. Oh, well, no. What he says has to be in line with the rhetoric. So therefore you can rip that person clean off the slate. Because, why? Well, because they've got to stick to the actual rhetoric. So if you've got a subject matter expert in the claim that we spin, and you ask them about the Coriolis force, like Tyson did, he has to stick with the rhetoric. Earth turned beneath a football. Hi, Mr. Tyson. Nathan Oakley, BBC News. Did Earth turn beneath the football? Oh, yes, I did a quick calculation, and we observed a drift through the goal. That's what got him the game. It was epic. Really? What about the blimp film in the game, Mr. Tyson? Has that got Earth turning beneath it? Where's he going to go? Oh, well, that's retain the momentum of Earth. Earth stands in violation of the first law, where Earth and atmosphere are moving together. Oh, so Earth and atmosphere moving together, Mr. Tyson. So the ball didn't drift because Earth turned beneath it then? No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to take an anti-flat Earth stance and tell us that we've got conservation of momentum. He's got to stick to the rhetoric. That's why he'll never, ever, ever come here. The people who will are people who are nobodies, who can easily move over one step to a rhetoric that doesn't quite sit in line with the globe to challenge me as a flat earther and just prove me wrong. Hopefully the audience will have lost track that the actual claim is Earth turning beneath a football when it's detailed for, I don't know, 45 minutes that I should understand conservation of momentum. That's what you need. You need dicks at ground level, not the priests, because they have to stick to the story and it's embarrassing when we show how it's wrong.
Did you see the
and then slam them together
with Michio Kaku where he was challenged and he immediately flipped out on that girl?
Oh no.
No.
Do tell.
where he ended the interview?
I was just gonna say.
He started accusing her of being a 9/11 conspiracy theorist and everything else, but the question wasn't even related to that subject. It's just where he went with it.
I saw that.
Wow. Can
Wasn't
anybody
that part of
post
the
it?
principle? Wasn't that part of the principle? One of the outtakes from where they were doing the geocentric documentary called The Principle?
Yes, that was his reaction to that.
Wasn't the principle...
Nathan, I just wanted to
Really?
say on the Coriolis effect thing, what I'm loving to do with these anti-flat earthers is that you ask them, so did the ball drift underneath did the earth drift underneath the ball through the goalpost? Yes. Does the earth drift underneath the blimp that's floating above the stadium? No. Okay, so what if you kick a ball from the blimp and then you watch the cogs? The ball wants to drift, but the blimp doesn't want.
I had one like that too.
From the blimp.
Well, my version of exactly the same thing. Does the Earth turn
Yeah.
beneath a bullet? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they have to track the target if it's a long distance shot. All right. Does the Earth track with the helicopter? Oh, yeah, Earth tracks with the helicopter. Earth and atmosphere move together. Does Earth turn under a bullet fired from a helicopter? Watch their brain explode.
That's a good one
can I
too.
Exactly.
Actually, even I've never heard a Globo claim that there's that Earth turns underneath a bullet, because it just straight up doesn't.
No, they do.
I don't. They
Well, if you ever
You
watch a
might
chat
wanna
feed
listen
or
to
look at
them.
some comments, you'll see people saying, "Thanks, Bob. 15 degrees an hour drift." Do you ever see that comment?
no, I've never seen that comment.
Okay, well, the gyro, because I'm pretty sure you came in yesterday with a pendulum claim. That's a claim that Earth turns underneath a pendulum. So you say no Glober claims that? I don't. You claimed it. What are you talking about?
And what about the name called Coriolis?
Guys, hold on. Knife edge guy, much more important. Hey, hello, guy on the knife edge there. You just said no Glober claims that Earth would turn underneath stuff. That's ludicrous. Now, I appreciate it doesn't mean you suddenly get my support because you've transitioned to flat Earth. But you specifically said that.
No, I said Earth doesn't turn underneath the gyroscope. Underneath. Wait, hang on. Oh no, I'm losing it. Earth turns beneath the gyroscope.
Oh, so
But it
you are
doesn't
now
turn
saying
underneath
it
the bullet,
right
and
now.
now I'm
Sorry,
confused.
mate. Yeah. Literally 2 minutes ago, I know you have said it. You don't have to sort of stammer away around it. Yesterday, you said Earth turned underneath. I thought it was a pendulum that you said, but you're now saying gyro. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what you said. Now, I realise that there's been a transition and literally on this show, but now you're saying no Glober claims Earth turns beneath stuff. It's ludicrous. But you claimed it. You literally yourself claimed that yesterday and today, literally about 3 minutes ago.
No, I just specified bullet because I've never heard one say specifically about a bullet.
It's in the handbooks.
We've heard that for like 6 years now.
It's in the handbooks. Snipers' handbooks apparently have got a claim that you need to track your target because Earth's going to turn beneath, and they cite Coriolis in the handbooks. So you might not have heard of it, but it's certainly something that they like to dig out and go, look, it's in the handbook. And that's an appeal to authority also. A claim that your entire world moves in a handbook of a sniper. All right, well, obviously, snipers are the authority on the entire world moving at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. That would be an appeal to authority fallacy.